grab a hold of my vest and hang on as tight as you can. Kid, you trust me?
No.
Good.
Are you always this brave?
I'm not brave.
You rescue people?
Sometimes. Sometimes I do other things.
Are you going to introduce us, Nash? No, okay. Yeah. Yes, as well. Nas.
Yeah. Nas.
It's like a tongue twister.
Right, so as we know, Extraction came out yesterday on Friday, and this is a Chris Hemsworth film, produced by the Russo brothers and directed by Sam Hargrave. It's quite interesting because this guy it seems like this is his directorial debut, and he worked as a stunt coordinator, and he's worked with the Russos before as stunt coordinator on Civil War and Endgame. Yeah, and this is produced by Agbo, I think it's the production company run by the Russos. Now, I think it was last year that 21 Bridges came out. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No.
Starring Chadwick Boseman. And yeah, I think that was like one of the first films that they produced under this production company. And it seems like they're picking, the people that they worked with in the MCU. So, and Chadwick Boseman also served as a producer on the role, same as Chris Hemsworth in this in Extraction. So it seems like and the story of 21 Bridges kind of resembles the story of Extraction.
Well, to be honest, going in, my expectations were really low. I think.
Yeah.
I didn't watch like a full trailer. I think I saw like little clips, like Instagram ads and things like that.
Yeah, me too.
And I kind of saw some of the reviews coming in, and they were kind of like mixed 50-50. I didn't read any of them. And in my head, I had this as one of those Liam Neeson single film action films that's not taken. You know how we did like a string of them afterwards that weren't taken, weren't very good, but there seemed to be like 10 of them. And then we're just inches forgettable as the last.
Absolutely. I think, I remember,
so for this, I was just like, with the mixed reviews, and I was like, it's one of those ones where it's like, from the producer of this film you like, then from the stunt coordinator who's now directing it, and I was like, okay, this is a bit of a stretch, it's going to be okay. And I think I said to you, when you suggested reviewing this, I was like, oh great, this is going to be a chore.
And I thought the exact same thing.
And that's the level that I thought this film was going to be on. I didn't know anything about the cast besides Chris Hemsworth. I thought it'd be interesting to see someone's directorial debut. If he's a stunt coordinator, would that add to what the action would be? Well, you'd hope it would. And to just kind of take it from that. But that's that. My expectations were low going in. I thought this would be a chore, and I just was like, kind of like, take it or leave it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of on the same page there as well. I just saw 2 hours and I was like,
Yeah.
I watched it today this morning about 8 a.m. and I was really impressed with it. I thought the fighting.
Wow, okay.
I thought the fighting was actually really definitely memorable.
Yeah.
I actually, even though Chris Hemsworth's character, just a hard badass, mercenary and stuff, at the same time, I don't know, I kind of saw, I liked the contrast as he seemed quite, very, all over the place, but in, a stressful situation, he was very calm. There was one scene I enjoyed when did you see the bit where he just jumps in the water and it was about 30 feet? And then underwater, it was like he was meditating. That just showed calmness. Even the scene where the guy had the gun on his to his head and he clicked it and there was just there was just no sign of what was it called? There was no sign of movement, not even a flinch, as the guy who pulled it. I mean, it was like one of your a hardcore action film, you know. I expected everything that there was no surprises, you know. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed it. I don't know how you lot felt, because I don't know how you lot really, really thought about it, but I was, at the same time, like I said, I was like, oh my god, 2 hours, okay, let's go. And I was surprised. I was surprised of what they gave us. I thought it would have been a little bit more drier, but it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. What about you? What about yourself, Brett Nash?
Well, okay. So I mean, going into this, I watched 21 Bridges last year, and I thought that film was okay at best. So I kind of had this preconceived notion of what this is going to be like. So I came into it thinking, you know, this is going to be your typical action hero, gun-toting hero, going through a bunch of nameless bad guys in the pursuit of a goal, whatever that may be. And okay, the story is you've got Tyler Rake, an ex-Special Forces guy, who's now a mercenary, and is recruited by Nick Khan, who's also an ex-Special Forces, to kind of save this young kid called Ovi Majahan, who's the son of India's biggest drug lord, Ovi Majahan Sr., from Bangladesh's biggest drug lord, Amir Asif. So this is the story. I mean, there's not much to it, but the beginning of the film, I thought the setup was pretty great. I was like, okay, we've got your typical extraction film. Obviously, there's something's going to go wrong, and they're going to be struggling to get out, whatever. I thought the introduction of some of the characters were cool. But what I really liked about this film the most is the action sequences. I mean, just seeing now that it was directed by an ex-stunt guy, or a stunt guy turned director, I mean, that's very evident in this film. I mean, there's some really cool technical stuff going on here. There's a car chase sequence. I don't know if you guys spotted this. There's a car chase sequence that starts. I think it lasts for a good 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's almost all one shot and one take. I mean, you're just flying through this car.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's insane. I mean, it goes from a car chase to a sort of a hide and seek game, and then a big apartment building, and then back on the streets again. I mean, yeah, some of those shots were amazing.
Yeah, there was one bit I saw. I don't know if you noticed the camera as it was following. I don't know how they did it, but it's like the camera was outside the outside the car, and then it went in the car as the car was turning. I just thought that was like, it was sick. I even said that part was sick. I'm not describing it properly, but
I know exactly what I mean. I mean, have either of you guys seen Children of Men?
No.
I know exactly which bit you're thinking of. That bit in the car.
Yeah, with the Julianne Moore bit, and
yeah. And there's like that one take, and it's like a 360, and then it goes from inside to outside.
Yeah. That's exactly what reminded me, and I love that sequence.
Yeah, I think what you were saying, that is, I think, the best thing about the film, and I think, like you were saying, the action really is top notch. I couldn't really fault it. It had like a real crunch to it, you know, when you're watching action, and it feels soft, or it feels like they'll cut in the places so much that you don't really know what's going on. But that seemingly one take feel car chase / shootout / run was just, it was mad. To the point where when things calmed down after that, I was like, "Ooh, I need that break. I need the break to just gather myself."
It's these close quarters gung fu type action that they have. I mean, this guy really knows what he's doing, because I haven't been impressed by gunplay like this since the John Wick movies.
Yeah, I agree.
It was really good. I was gonna say that I agree with some of what you were saying, as well as like the setup, the intros to most of the characters. I think most of the acting in this was fine. Like, there were quite a few young actors in it.
And I usually hate children.
But they were all fine, and actually quite funny, but not in like the obvious, let's get some levity in this story and a joke that really doesn't fit. They were all saying and doing things that kind of seemed natural and didn't seem forced or like contrived, or like, okay, this is the exposition bit. You know, except for a few parts with that Chris Hemsworth does. But I think most of it's fine. The only thing I didn't like from the beginning is that whole when it starts the movie and then cuts back, like Okay,
I was
2
just
days
gonna
earlier.
say I absolutely hate that storytelling device.
Same.
Like that's one of my pet peeves of movies.
I always ask myself, what is it adding? And in this one, I didn't feel like it added anything that you couldn't get in the first
Nothing
time.
at all.
The only thing I thought was maybe, okay, this is a film. It's not set in America. Most of it's got Asian people in. Let's throw in Chris Hemsworth first, so we don't lose anyone flicking in through Netflix. Because that's one of the things that surprised me, is that I didn't know so much of it was set. Well, most of it was set in like India, Bangladesh, and that there were actually so many Asian characters in this, and I was like, oh, okay, and actually played by Indian and Bangladeshi people. Or at least of South Asian heritage, and people who weren't speaking English, so you had to read the subtitles as well. And I was like, okay, kudos to the film for doing this stuff, because I love to see it. So I like that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the scene where the boy Ovi, and you know when he was questioning Tyler about do you have any kids and stuff, and I had to put it, I couldn't understand a little bit, so I had to put it on the subtitles. That was the only thing. But other than that, like again, I love it. I love seeing different faces, cultures and that, and you know, new actors, child actors as well. Like,
I mean, the kid Ovi, he wasn't bad at all. I mean, especially in that scene that you were talking about, where it was quite an intimate moment between him and Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty great.
Yeah, it was good, man. You need to give more to give more new faces. In the industry, you know, because it's nice to see.
And can I just say, I mean, one little thing I loved about this was the number of surprise headshots that you kept getting in this film. I don't know about you guys, but you'd go like a few seconds as calm, and then blam, headshot. That got me every single time. I was like, no. But no, and we had David Arbor, surprisingly.
No idea he was in it. I was there squinting for ages thinking, is that him? That is him. I was like, no, he's not in this film. I was like, surely that would have come up. But there we go.
David Arbor's always a win. He was great in it. And I mean, pretty much the standout thing of this film is the action. And it's amazing. I mean, it was really like, what's the word? Deadly, gruesome, like the slitting of the throats. I was like, damn, like you know, but it was man, and then just the repeated stabbing to the heart, like those were they definitely man. Very violent. It reminded me of a combination between Rambo and the Raid films. I don't know if you've ever seen those films. But it's like a combination of those two. Very gruesome with excellent gunplay.
One of the performances I really liked, he wasn't in it as much, was the the crime lord who does the kidnapping. I really liked him, like just his kind of whole portrayal and sort of his I don't care about anything. And I was like, that's a bad guy I can buy into. I like that one.
You see, that's where we differ. I did not like him at all.
Did you not? Was it because
I could not
in the way
stand
you're
him?
not supposed to like him, or did you just think he was pretty weak?
I thought he was a weak character, and he seemed to me just like your typical, you know, mustache twirling bad guy. He wasn't really bringing anything. There wasn't much depth to the role other than I'm a bad guy and I'm a crime lord. This is what I do. It's a shame. I wish we got more of him because he's not in the movie that much.
No, he's not. He's not.
No, and I wish we got a little bit more from him.
Yeah, I see what you mean. You know, one of the things I was reading about reviews was how they were saying like it was too violent and too gruesome, and I was thinking, isn't that the whole point of this film?
Yeah,
it was just to be like a balls to the wall, action packed, make you wince kind of action. And like I'd say, you know, it's not quite at that level of, you know, like you mentioned, The Raid. And that's always like the top benchmark. I haven't seen the John Wick films. I know, I need to. But the Raid 1 and 2 are like the bar when it comes to this sort of thing. Oh, and you know, I think when it comes to Western produced films, the one I think of is like, what is it? Dread comes to mind. I feel like that's a pretty solid action film. Just for like
that's a solid action film.
And I'd say in terms of action, it stands up really well. It's not on that level, but yeah, for a Netflix film when my expectations were low, I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Did you notice as well? Did you notice? You know how Ovi was so emotional when like Tyler got shot,
Yeah.
but then I can't remember his name, but the other guy who was looking after him from the beginning, and
Sanju, I think his name was.
Sanju, like as he
Yeah.
died, like there was not even a tear or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I was questioning that a lot. I was like,
Yeah.
It seems like at the beginning their relationship's a little rocky. I'm not sure what the See, this is what I hated the most about the film. It's this character, Sanju, and kind of the plot, really. I didn't get the motivation of this character because what he does, how he gets involved in this whole story, for me, it didn't make sense. It almost felt a little bit convoluted to me as to the way in which he was doing what he was doing.
Are you talking about
I didn't get it.
Saju or the Chris Hemsworth one?
Saju, his motivations. I just could not like the relationship between, because they introduced the relationship as obviously Saju's like he's kind of looking after Ovi.
Yeah.
But then I got a little bit of hostility from their relationship. But then as the film carries on, I don't know where this guy lies in terms of how much he actually cares for this Ovi kid and vice versa. I just did not get it. There was too many flip-floppy moments, flip-floppy decisions made by this character that, for me, I know exactly what you mean, baby. Yeah.
And thinking about the end where you mentioned what happened to Chris Hemsworth and then what happened to Saju as well, it's like, I feel like I have to go back because I don't even know if Ovi saw what happened to him at the time. Like, when he gets whatever happens to him, you don't really see the reaction of Ovi seeing it. And it's like, at that point in the climax, does he even know? Because there was a whole reaction to what was happening to Chris Hemsworth, which I thought was over the top. It was like, dude, this guy was going to take you or leave you. I don't get too attached to it. And, I was thinking about it a bit more just now whilst we've been chatting about it. And I thought, actually, it's like, take out Chris Hemsworth's character, and if we had this other guy, the Saju guy, who, if he was played by anyone, wouldn't that still have been a pretty tight film? Like, this guy, someone he works for, kids kidnapped, he tries to pull a fast one, but then he has to do the job himself. Like, if Chris Hemsworth wasn't there, could it not have just been quite a tight...
It would have been a much tighter film, because I feel like that amazing chase sequence that we're talking about, which involves Saju as well.
Yeah.
Like, as the film goes on, that whole sequence starts to make less and less sense to me. Other than the fact that they were just doing it to kind of showcase, look at our action sequencing skills or whatever. Emotionally, I don't get this Saju character.
Because
and
from the few lines he had, what I got was that he told these people he was going to pay them to do the job, but they didn't have the money, so he went in himself, and when they took him, he was just going to take him from them. But then, couldn't he have just... He was pretty badass himself. Couldn't he have just done it himself?
Done it himself? It's so convoluted, isn't it? It's because the plot required him to do that. That's the only reason, not because the character did. And that's what really took me out of the film, this character and this whole plot. It just made no sense.
The other guy did say he'd kill his family. His dad in prison was like, if you don't get my kid back, your family are on the line. And that's why I think he had that call back to his family, and it was like, if you don't hear from me in 12 hours, just run away and hide. So I think it made some sense, but I still think there's a bit of a stretch on why wouldn't he either just hide himself or just do the job himself? Because he's got skills.
Yeah. He's got mad skills.
He could probably take care of anyone that comes after his family himself. He'd take care of himself. Unless it was Chris Hemsworth, then there's a problem.
Yeah. What did you guys think of, the little kid who was kind of trying to prove himself? I say for the other drug lord leader. What did you guys think of that character?
I thought he was pretty interesting. I felt they, considering he is just literally like most of the time a background character, but they had enough sort of going on in the background, enough references to him where they kind of, it was interesting. I felt like he was more established than like the actual bad guy who had more screen time but less like significance. And I was like, because when he popped up, I was like, oh, I remember this guy, and I felt invested in, like, I can see where it's coming from, I empathized with him, whereas the others, it was kind of like, faceless villain, faceless good guy, okay, I'm landing the chopper. But this guy, I was like, yeah, he's quite well established for just, like, this random kid they've thrown in, like, 30 minutes into the film. So I was like, oh, that's all right. And I felt for him. I think a different thing as well. What about you two?
I like this character. I thought he was interesting. I thought he deserved a bit more screen time. Either take out Saju completely and give more, put Amir and the little kid front and center, or take out the little kid, Amir, I say from the, and then stick with Saju, but not have him flip flop motivations in between. But yeah, this kid was great, and he had one of the funniest fight scenes I've seen in a long time between Chris Hemsworth and a bunch of kids. Seeing him slap the shit out of one kid was hilarious.
I enjoyed that scene. I thought to myself, what would you even do being in that situation if you got a few kids with guns just coming up to you? Like, and I thought to myself, okay, like, I'm not gonna be as calm as like Chris Hemsworth, you know. So I'm shooting them up, man. Do you know what I mean? but with obviously with like Tyler, he was just I mean, you could with what he talked about with, you know, him having a son and dying. He definitely had. You saw throughout he has sympathy for like little kids, especially in the beginning of the first fight scene where that one kid was just holding the gun and he was like, just took the gun and just, you know, piss off, like move. So man, I enjoyed that scene too, man. Yeah,
I wonder what that was like to film, like in between takes when you're just looking like you're slapping up kids and stuff like that, and just throwing them around.
There's one bitch slap that was just amazing.
He's cussing at the same time as well, which I love. Does he just do it?
It's like, for God's sake, stay down.
Yeah, man.
But no, this film has a lot of amazing stuff going on technically, visually, and I wasn't bored. This film has a lot of interesting stuff going on visually and technically, and it's got some amazing shots in it. But for me, the story just kind of suffers a lot. I don't know whether this is based on a comic actually written by Anthony and Joe Russo along with the other writers. So I'm not really sure how much of that source material translated to film, whether they took more precedent on the actual visuals as opposed to the plot itself. Because I mean, the Russos, I know they didn't direct it, they produced it, but they're very good at set pieces, spectacles, and there was a lot of this evident in this film. Whether the story suffered because of it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and like you were saying about that comic as well, like, I don't know much about it. It's been around for a few years. It's quite interesting. I wonder if they've written a lot of other stuff. But I wonder how close it is, or whether it is just like this balls to the wall action, and I wonder what is added and taken away. One of the things I was thinking about this film while I was watching it, and I think this about like all action films as well, is like, what is our level of suspension of disbelief supposed to be? Because I thought up to that first car chase, things were quite solid. Like, people would react as you'd expect. If someone gets hurt, they're dead. People, you know, seem to get one shot, one punch, they're out of the picture. Okay, we're going for that realistic thing. When we got to that chase, which was amazing, I was like, okay, where's the bar? Do you know what I mean? Like, where do you stick this? Is this like, are these like Fast and Furious Supermen? Are these just like your regular action heroes? You kind of see them like recover and stuff. And I think it seemed to end up, it sacrificed, I think, some of that realism to make an amazing scene. So I think that's a fine trade-off by me, because it was just really good to watch.
Yeah.
But there was bits where I think they were both hit by vehicles at different points.
I was just about to mention, it's that moment I was like, okay, this is all bullshit. I'm just going to sit back and just enjoy what's happening on screen. I'm going to switch my brain off and just go for the ride.
I remember saying as well, like, I was saying like to myself, like, Tyler, he was fast, man, because you know what I mean. He had like a little rest with Ovi. I don't know where they were, and then they were just back at it again. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just thought sometimes, to be fair, sometimes when I watch movies, I just let it fly past me, and I'm like, okay, I'm just here for the enjoyment of it. But yeah, man, it's one of those.
You bring up a good point, Mister. Yeah, the moment they were hit by cars, I was like, okay, yeah. This is treading into the territory of Fast and Furious.
Because it was really interesting.
And you know what? I'm okay with it.
Because it wasn't like they were hit and then they flew off screen. Both times you hit and you saw their fall, their collapse, they crumble, and you think, okay, if that's... And I was like, they can't do that to Chris Hemsworth. He just crumpled like he died.
Yeah.
And I was like, you saw the shot and the impact, everything, and I was just like, damn, okay, these guys are out of it. And then I'm like, nope. It's just they're going another round, and then they have like a hotel scene where they crack their noses back in place and sew themselves up. And they're fine.
Yeah, I really liked how the camera never shied away from those kinds of moments.
Yeah, it was really satisfying.
You were really in it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and going in, I think going back to it is like I had no idea how much of it was going to be non-Western. I think there was one scene that was supposed to be in Australia. Oh, and I like that Chris Hemsworth just gets to be Australian in this. He doesn't have to.
I like that was a good touch. Yeah, I like that too.
I thought that was cool. But like going back to some of the plot things, it's like, you know, like Chris Hemsworth character, would it have been a really tight and cool film if he wasn't in it? And it just feels like one of those white savior films where it's like, okay, the dude has to come in.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You have to get the white savior to come in and save the day. Yeah. And that Sergio guy was completely capable of doing the exact same thing Chris Hemsworth. Yeah.
Man, you know, in the background when there was that massive chase scene and you saw him like taking out the cop cars and shooting up others, like he was doing stuff in the background, and I was like, whoa, I don't mind a cut if we see his perspective on this, because this is a mad scene. He could have done it all.
You could have done it away, and he didn't have plot armor like Chris Hemsworth, and he was still able to have the one up on it.
Yeah. What did you both think of David Harbour? Like his role, and like what did he add to it? It was cool that he was there because it's him. I wasn't expecting it. But what did you guys think of that?
It's the point of the film where the hero rests right before taking on the biggest challenge, and introducing David Harbour into it. I thought he did fine. I wish we could have seen a little more to it. I didn't get so this guy lives in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, right?
From the sounds
it's not
of
like he came in.
It seems like he's just there.
Because I was thinking, did this guy, because when you do see him, he's driving a car. So I'm thinking, is this guy coming into the city? Because I thought there was a lockdown going on. I was confused as to what his position was in the actual city, as in like geography was. I was a bit confused. But I felt it was an okay like appearance from him. There wasn't much to it. But yeah, I was like, I could have taken it on the left it really. But I do always enjoy seeing David Harbour.
Yeah, I kind of agree, to be fair. I looked at it as like, okay, Ovi is like one of the, you know, just represents that Ovi's like the most wanted person ever, and everyone's after him. Like, there's just no escape, there's just no rest. And I just felt like he was the kind of person that would just gives us that. Like, even though you think everything's safe, the drama still continues, and that's what he just kind of gave us. But I agree with Nash as well. But yeah, I could have took it or left it, but it was good to see him in it as well.
Yeah. I think I feel the same. Like, he could have been any guy. It was a nice, pleasant surprise because, like you two, I just like him as an actor. He's fine.
Yeah.
And it really was just to add that brief reprieve before, like you say, the final act really begins and we rush to the climax. And yeah, he was okay, but it could have been anyone, and it was a bit predictable. You know, like how that went. Because I feel like once you get that bit, it's only going to go one of two ways. And then it went through one of them. Yeah. And the way it was executed was fine as well. But yeah, I was just like, did this really add much? Did it motivate Chris Hemsworth to do something he wasn't going to do anyway? Because he seemed to be on that track anyway. Like, it didn't change anything.
I felt like it was more to give Tyler and Ovi a moment where they could kind of bond a bit more. Based on what happened with that. Yeah, that's all I saw it as. Just a moment. Just another moment to kind of solidify Ovi and Tyler's relationship.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think the only other bad thing, besides the stuff I've already said, is that maybe the film just peaked in the middle. Like, the ending was fine, and I think it kind of went for the emotional beats more than just the action, whereas I didn't really feel it as much, whereas the action peaked in that amazing chase scene that we've just gone on about. And yeah, from there, it didn't quite hit the same highs.
I agree there. Like, I think as soon as, like, because it was just all, like, guns and shooting, like, at the very end. And I think, yeah, I agree there as well. I wasn't really too much into the very end scene of it, just because bullets were flying everywhere. So you just kind of knew what to expect there. But like you said, yeah, the peak was definitely in the middle, and that's where it was most enjoyable.
Yeah. I also think that last scene was kind of the only bit where I'm kind of losing where people are in terms of, like, the coordination. Like, that first amazing chase scene, I felt like it was choreographed to the point where you kind of knew where everything was happening and everything made sense.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I was kind of losing it. Like, okay, so because it was on a bridge, so there's only so many places people can be, and I was like, okay, so who's in front of who? Where's where? And I was just kind of losing track of it.
I think that's exactly why you're confused whether Ovi did see the thing that happened with Saji, because you're like, okay, so where is he located? Can you see?
Surely he'd
happening?
go past that at some point.
Yeah.
And the reactions of what is it? The lady Nick Khan who recruited Tyler Rake to come in was also a little bit like, okay, is there supposed to be, like, there was allusions to some sort of history, but the reactions at the end of, like, I really feel something. It was a bit too much. I was like, is it just for the dramatic slow mo? What's going on here? And like with the kids' reaction as well, I was like, this guy was gonna leave you. He couldn't let you.
They only knew each other for like a day, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I questioned that a lot. Yeah.
So, I mean, judging this as like an action film, I'd say it's good. You know, it's nothing special. But I would say I was pleasantly surprised. I'd say it's better than average. On balance, I'd say there's a lot more good than bad, purely from the fact that this is clearly supposed to be a film that shows off what it can do from an action and stunt directorial perspective, and I think it does that quite well. It's not like an amazingly written film. These performances aren't going to win Oscars, but I think they're all completely fine and functional for what the story needed. And there was that peak of that chase scene, I think, is something special, but that is by and far the peak of the film, and that is what makes it, I think, what really kind of brought it together. So I think on our scale, I'd say it's above average. I'd put it where Spider-Man 2 is, you know, above average, good, but not like amazing level.
Yeah, I would put it above Ant-Man. Yeah, I would put it above. So just, above average.
Yeah.
If anything, maybe not slightly before Spider-Man 2 on the scale, you know, but around there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, by the halfway point, I was sold on the fact that I'm only invested in the action sequences. The story for me was a bit blasé, loosey-goosey, felt a bit flip-floppy in terms of character decisions and character motivations, which is why I'm putting it at this position, because I felt the same way for this film. So I was invested in the film visually, but when it came to the story, I kind of switched off just before halfway. So I'm giving it a pretty, I'd say, a low Batman vs. Superman. So yeah. So I'll put it at Batman vs. Superman, but not quite as bad, but yeah. I'll put it Batman vs. Superman.
Fair dues. See what you mean. You're the harsh critic between us then.
Seriously. I always said that about Nash.
You have to be a Dark Knight film to impress me. Or Endgame. Or Spider-Man 2.
I see what you mean.